Welcome to Wide Net Gaming. This is my review and update for Bomber Crew. This is a game that came out in October of 2017, and I've been waiting until the last DLC, the USAAF, released on consoles, and all my footage is of that DLC on the Xbox One. This is a simulation of a heavy bomber crew during World War II, and you have the B-17 for the Americans, and then you have the Lancaster for the British. Takes place in two theaters of war. The story is very minimal. It's historical fiction. You have the B-17 in North Africa around a Human Torch, and then the British Lancaster over Europe bombing targets in France and Germany. Both bombers are pretty much the same. The difference is you have 7 crew for the British Lancaster and then 9 for the American B-17 Land Fortress. For that B-17, those extra 2 are on the individual guns, whereas the Lancaster doesn't have those individual guns, and then you have 2 potential more on the front, the cheek side, they call it. For both planes, you have the roles of pilot, engineer, navigator, radio ops, and gunners. And all of these, they have upgrades over time, and as you're going through a mission, it boils down to you take off, you're going to a target through a map, you do something at the objective, and then you return. The parts that you control directly are things like tagging, like you're seeing here, where I tag the aircraft to direct the gunners where to fire, and individual commands, like for the bomber, while you have a person selected, you'll see what they're doing with the bomber sight, or like with the pilot, pressing a button so they take off, pressing a button so that they drop bombs or a payload. Between missions, you upgrade. Your crew gains experience and they gain new abilities, and those abilities get better as well. Along with that, some may die, like you see here, and then they're replaced with progressively better crew as you're going through the game. You don't start square one with each one, and it's done fairly well. The airplane, you can upgrade like your turrets, your systems, your radar, etc. to make it more resilient, make it better. And you want to be strong enough, but it's risk-reward. You can always lose this as well. It is an indie game, and it sounds great for its budget and the kind of style it's going for, like a little more basic, a little more cutesy, but it sounds good. It is just a single-player game across all platforms, including the Switch. I do recommend the game. It just does a great job of capturing like simulation elements of the individual crew on their various roles. The pilot, the engineer, the navigator, radio operator, and the gunners. It is definitely rooted in historical fiction, but the scope is really focused on that, on the individual crew. Now, I mean historical fiction, the actual B-17 bombed during the daylight, high altitude, in like large formation, while the Lancaster had a higher bomb load and would bomb at night. So very different military doctrine, and they're similar in this. The only difference is the B-17 has those 2 guns. But the star is really all the various crew and their roles, along with the equipment that you upgrade, and then you kind of realize the importance and what happens when you don't upgrade, and like your radar goes down, your hydraulics, you can't turn the guns, and you're a sitting duck up in the sky. You have those panic moments, or when you have an engineer or someone on a gunner, and they need to be managing the fuel, but you need that gunner also at the same time. Like that, that really captures that panic that they had in these heavy bombers, and how they just had to adjust, to the various circumstances. And the whole experience of taking off, going to a target, and the choices, the flexibility you have to approach an objective is done well. And even if you do lose crew, I do advise just kind of playing it through and getting new crew. That's mainly how it's meant to be experienced. I like the Mac controls better, though, because when you do switch on the controller, there is that slowdown. But it's a little harder, so it kind of balances out. I would play it either way, even if you're limited to console. They're both great, really. Thank you for watching. Like, dislike, comment, and I will see you next time.